In today's episode of Books with Bridgetti, we'll explore the remarkable journey of Ewa Krempa, from her roots in Poland to becoming a transformational coach in Canada. She shares her passion for travel, her love for the ocean, and things that shaped her life. We'll discuss her contribution in the book Midlife Awakening. And the book shares personal journeys of growth and transformation. So join us now for this conversation with Ewa. And I promise you it's going to be both inspiring, filled with wisdom, and some actionable advice. Stay with us on Books with Bridgetti. We'll be right back.
Introducing Books with Bridgetti, a lineup of industry experts, award-winning authors, and talented indie authors. Buckle up for an unparalleled journey with us. Meet exceptional authors celebrated globally for their captivating narratives. Our authors craft imaginative stories that stay etched in your mind long after the final page. It's not just stories, it's lingering experiences that stay etched in your mind. Our authors share the inspirations that create mesmerizing page-turning stories. Journeys that embody resilience, that turn setbacks into stepping stones, rejections that spark growth, and hurdles that become a catalyst for creativity. From dramas, mysteries, fantasies, children's stories to reality stories, join us as we delve into the inspiration behind the story, discover how authors breathe life into characters, and meticulously craft plots that keep you turning the page. But wait, there's more. We share stories from indie authors as well as Amazon and New York Times best-selling authors. Get ready for an interview that'll have you on the edge of your seat. Stay tuned. Join us only on Books with Bridgetti.
If you've just joined us, then welcome to Books with Bridgetti. Our live stream is made possible by StreamYard and BeLive Media. Our guest today is Ewa Krempa, authors like you've never seen them before, only on Books with Bridgetti. Now, if you've never met my amazing guest before, she is a very dynamic entrepreneur, a mentor, and transformational coach. Ewa has explored over 50 countries. That's a lot more than most of us have done. And during her travels, she's gained rich experiences and personal growth. And in balancing motherhood and entrepreneurship, she draws inspiration from spiritual teachers like those of Dr. Wayne Dyer. And as the founder and CEO of Dynamic Mindset Coaching, she empowers individuals to achieve holistic transformation. Now, she is a contributing author to Midlife Awakening and also the book Never Give Up. And she guides others through her weekly book study club and also various events that she holds to promote growth mentally, physically, spiritually, financially, and emotionally. So let me invite Ewa to come and join me on screen. Ewa, welcome to the show. I'm so pleased to have you join me today on Books with Bridgetti. What sparked your passion for personal development, and how has that influenced your approach to coaching and mentoring?
First of all, thank you so much for having me on your show, Bridgetti. It's an honor to be here, and I'm super excited. And let's have an amazing time. So to answer your question, I wish it was a simple answer as like, well, I just decided to do it. But there's a lot of things that actually has led me to become a mindset and success coach. And one of them was actually feeling like there was something missing in my life. And with the childhood I have had, there was a lot of things that stayed with me till my adulthood that I was finally at the midlife was actually ready to let go of that. And that was when my daughter came into my life in 2018. I was just sitting there one day and it's like, I'm bringing this baby into this world, and basically, how can I continue having the mindset that I have and dragging all these things from my youth? And I didn't want to be where I was anymore as a person, everything that was happening in my mind. So this is where it's like, you know what, it's time to do something about it. And that's what actually got me into personal development, where I dove deep into actually Bob Proctor's coaching. It was in 2006 that I originally saw The Secret and read a little bit of the books and things like that. But at that time in 2006, I was actually more interested in traveling and attracting traveling into my world than actually dealing with emotions and stuff that I was carrying from, younger age. So at that time, it's like, oh, how can I use law of attraction to attract more traveling? And that's what I focus on for majority of my life. But it actually became a huge part of who I am, traveling and stuff like that. So fast forward into 2018, I said, you know what? I want to be truly happy inside. I don't want to just have those happy moments and then they go away and you're feeling like, crap again. I said, no, I really want to now work on myself as a person. And that's what I actually fell in love with, the process. It helped me, and I was like, you know what, I've always wanted to help humanity, in some way. And there's of course a lot of stories behind it, but in a short, and that's how I went into mindset coaching, inspiration, inspiring people to go after what they truly want in life.
Wow, wonderful. Can you share a pivotal moment in your travels? Now, you've traveled 50 countries, more than most people do in a lifetime. Was there a pivotal moment that shaped your perspective on life and growth?
I think it was in my lowest points, when I actually talk about it in one of my books, The Never Give Up, actually, where I had thoughts of being suicidal. And it wasn't until later when I actually started really studying myself, that I realized, there's more to life than being miserable. And I think my daughter was that time where it was like a wake up call. I would say that pivotal time where it's like, that's it. I'm changing. I want to be a new person. I want to do a lot more in my life. Yeah, traveling was nice. Don't get me wrong. I loved every minute of it. I've done family trips. I've done solo trips. I've done cruises and stuff like that. I loved every minute of it. And it just really became who I was. But there was also part of me that was struggling deep down underneath. And for the most part, I never really shared that with anybody. In some ways, maybe I was afraid. In some ways, maybe I just kept it all inside. And there was a time where it's like, you know what? It's time to go after bigger dreams, because traveling is nice. It's a nice big list, but you know what? There's much more to life. Like when I went with World Vision Canada in 2005 to build homes in El Salvador, that was an amazing experience. And I knew then that I want to do something bigger in the world. I wanted to not just go one trip, build a couple nice houses, and that was it. No, I knew I was meant to do much more in life. But it took me, I think, almost a decade to figure out where I was going, because there was a lot of things happening, right?
Wow, I can well relate to, you know, needing to have some kind of a purpose to life, because that's often why people give up, because they feel they need to be more, they need to do more, there needs to be some kind of a meaning to life, and it's usually got nothing to do with wealth or money. It has to go, much deeper than that. How do you incorporate um, spiritual teachings into your coaching practice? And do you think that that's essential to achieving holistic transformation?
I believe absolutely, because we are spiritual beings having a human experience, basically, right? So it's not so much the 3D world. The 3D world is just a reflection back to us what we are, having on the inside. So for me, for many years, I was, like searching, meditating, trying to figure out life. And for the most part, because really they don't teach you this, especially when I come from a small village in Poland, many years ago. And when I say many, it's like 3 decades ago. And there was no studying law of attraction back then. Back then, I was just a little kid running around. Life seemed easy at that time. And you don't really think about anything. You just go with the flow. But then all of a sudden, when your family decides to move many, thousands of kilometers across the world to Canada, to a brand new world, for some people, it can be quite a quite a challenging experience. And for me it was, because I came to Canada without any English, so I had to learn English. I was in grade 5 at that time, so all of a sudden I had no friends. My parents were doing their thing. They had to work, they had to learn English just as much as I had to. So literally I felt like I didn't have much support, and then I didn't want to bother anybody with it, so I kind of went on with life. But it really impacted me quite a bit. And fast forward a little bit, you go through another experience. You kind of wonder why things are happening to you, where it seems like other people are not going through the same thing. But you really have, like, nowhere to express it or with somebody, right? So that's why I felt lost for many years, but there's a lot more to it, of course. And then I found myself searching for God more. And because I come from a Roman Catholic church, of course, so that's all part of us. But then I said, well, there's got to be more to that. So you start researching more and things like that. So right now I truly believe that spirituality is a huge part. You have to connect with your soul, who you are, and not just live in the 3D. You got to have a good balance between the two. Otherwise, like, you would kind of feel out of place a little bit, I believe.
Absolutely. I think most people try and unplug from our creator. Um, but really, it's you're doing yourself a disservice, because you're unplugging yourself from the very source um, of life. Now, what inspired you to want to share your story in Midlife Awakening? Uh, Everybody's got a story, but I'm always interested to hear what it is that made you want to write about your story, um, and share it with the world. And what do you hope that readers would take away from reading your chapter?
Writing a chapter was never really part of any deal. What happened, how it all started, was actually when I went and traveled around the world in 2010 and 2011. I had this idea as a young person. It's like, oh, it would be cool to write a book, about my travels. So I started when I came back from the world tour. I started drafting this little book. I'm like, it would be nice to write something, share. But then I looked at it and I'm like, yeah, but what is it gonna make the difference writing another book? You go to the bookstore and you're like, okay, another book, another book. I'm like, I want my book to be more than just some nice little pictures and, oh, she went here, she went there. I really wanted something more. And then, believe it or not, that book from my travels is still sitting on my hard drive. It's about 300 some pages, my travel stuff. But I think it's gonna remain there for now. And as I sat there and I'm thinking, okay, well, yeah, I still would like to write something, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Then I went on World Vision Canada trip. Then I went into personal development, and then you meet people. You start connecting with individuals, and this is the first time I ever heard about collaboration books. Yeah, I've heard of Chicken Soup for the Soul, but it just seems like one of those things out of reach, right? Like, kind of like Hollywood's like, oh, they're in Hollywood, I'm not. It's kind of out of reach. But then when I started hanging out with different people, I met this lady named Nikki, and she's like, oh, collaboration books. I'm like, what is that? She's like, oh, so she explained what collaboration was. I'm like, oh my God, that is it. And because I went into personal development and I saw how much impact it had on my life, how much it has healed me, going through all those programs and everything, I'm like, this is it. This is what I was meant to be. Share my story to the world in hopes that, somebody else who reads this and is going through similar things, they can know that there's hope for them, that they don't have to be stuck where they are. Because I, for many years, thought there was like, there was nothing else. But writing that one collaboration book, the Midlife Awakening, kind of jumped right into the never give up. But it's funny how it all line up, because here I'm sharing my story, how it was in my youth, going into never give up of a little bit more. And now I have a third book coming out called The Ripple Effect of Impact to the World, which is actually exactly what we're doing. We're spreading that impact all around in hopes that one soul, if she or he or she reads it, they'll have that faith and believe that things will turn around for them if they're struggling with something, and for them to know that there's always somebody out there who probably had a similar experience, and that there is hope.
That is amazing. I'm so delighted for you that you are now going to be in your third collaboration book. And so, for anyone watching the show live or on the replay, know that, if you're feeling overwhelmed at the thought of writing an entire book, collaboration books is a great way to get into writing. And the exciting thing for me was the friendships and the other collaborations that came out of being involved in a collaboration book, because there's about 20 to 30 other people that are each writing a chapter. And so it literally expands your network exponentially every time you're in a collaboration book, because it's usually a different group of people from book to book. So it's a really nice method. How have you found working with Action Takers Publishing? I know I'm segueing a little bit here, but for anybody thinking about it, what was your experience like working with Action Takers Publishing?
It was unbelievable, like amazing. I thought it was gonna be hard, and I'm not an author by like, oh, Stephen King or anybody like that. I just kind of like basically is like, okay, here are my thoughts. This is what I want to write, because there's themes, of course, for each book that we do. And the reason I say we, because I am actually now curating number 4 book. So basically, you pick a topic, we pick a topic, and you write about it. And for me, I basically just threw my words on the page. It seemed to stick, and they liked it. And I'm like, wow, was it that easy? And it's not just writing. They actually edit everything. They tell you something needs a little bit more work and stuff like that. I'm like, are you kidding me? This was that easy? Oh my goodness. Like, and here me thought I was, oh my God, it's probably going to be so hard and everything. No, it was so easy. Of course, you have to pour your heart and soul into it. And there'll be moments I'm like, what do I write? What do I write? You know what? It will come to you. When you sit in that, moment in time and say, oh, this is what I want to write about. You put in a few words. Then if you're done for that time, let it go for an hour or two, maybe a couple of days, and then you start writing again. It will all come together eventually. And if you need that extra push, that's where Action Takers actually has extra people, or even me, like I help out if people need some help. It's like, I'm not quite sure how to put it. That's okay. That's why we're all there helping each other, to write that story, to get it out there, because you never know who's gonna read your story, and it might just change their life or make it, so much more amazing, right? Like it just happened to me recently. Somebody actually saw my book, The Never Give Up, and actually somebody was going through suicidal thoughts, and they reached out to me because they read my story. And then I was like, oh wow, like, sorry, it's actually like amazing how much you can connect with other people all over the world, right? And to see the impact you can do, it's amazing. But anyhow, it is beautiful experience. It's not at all hard. it's just it takes time, just like anything. It takes you got to choose what you want to do. You got to dedicate your time and get it out there. That's all it is, basically.
And I think that's the important aspect of it. It's the impact that your story can have on someone else. Even if it touches the life of one person, your job is done. If it saved just one person, then you've made a difference in the world. Now I have the $1,000,000 question for you, because everybody wants to know about balance and juggling and, how do we make it perfect? So how do you balance motherhood, entrepreneurship, and what advice would you give to people who are juggling multiple roles? I don't believe that there's perfect, but what is your take on finding that balance?
That is a really good question. And, for me, it starts with a peace of mind and harmony in your heart. Because when your mindset is at peace, no matter what comes your way, you can take it one step at a time. Like I use this phrase all the time from my mentor and coach, Kathleen Cameron. She says, ease and flow. Just ease and flow. Don't force things that are not meant to be. Take it one step at a time, because it's in the micro moments that things happen. Not sometimes we want to jump from here to there, but it's not always like that. It's in those micro moments that things really shift, right? So know that life is not all about 3D. It's all about within. And when you're inner, like your soul, your heart is balanced, it makes things so much easier. Of course, I'm not saying you're not going to have those moments when something comes up, but I always remind myself, do you really want to react to that, or do you want to take time, think about it, then respond to it? So I always, I've trained my mind, like over time I actually trained my mind to do certain things. Like I remember at the beginning I used to be like, this, I was sometimes like hot-headed, you could say. And now I look back, I'm like, oh, like, you got to stop and think what you're doing. Like, you got to like reset. I used to have a watch set every hour. And it's like, okay, where is your mind? What is your mind doing? Is it on autopilot doing some random things while you're doing something else? Or do you actually like, really know what's happened? Like, okay, what am I thinking? What are my thoughts? What is my dominant thought and feeling? Are they really in alignment, or is it off doing some random things again? And over time, you train your body, but you have to be consistent at it. Your mind eventually responds to you more than it going off on autopilot a lot. So it's just ease and flow, and do a lot of meditations just to ground yourself too.
I like the idea of keeping a check on your time and just taking a moment to pause and reevaluate where you are. Otherwise, you can't just go on an aimless trajectory and not really accomplish much, even though you have a very busy day. So I think that's a great suggestion, is to time block and just see, what have you done? Are you hitting your targets for the day?
Yeah.
Um, Now we talked, about the collaboration books and the aspect of, there's a lot of teamwork involved, which also makes it fun. So just further to that, what do you believe, or what role do you think community plays in personal development or growth? And how do you do that using your book study club and, events that you organize?
Honestly, it's a huge thing to have a community. The reason I say that, because I grew up, as I mentioned before, having no support. And you know when you don't have, really, like in my family, nobody really practices law of attraction. They're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, okay, because they're in their own flow, right? But when I start connecting with people, I have people I talk to all the time who are in the community, and we help each other to grow and expand, because they're the same kind of wavelength I am. So if I present them with a problem, it's like, hey, I'm not quite sure how to get there because my mind's thinking this, and then then they have something you can collaborate on together as a community, as opposed to you sitting there by yourself trying to figure out things on your own. And sometimes 2 3 minds is better than one, let's face it. So I think community plays a huge role, because you have somebody to reach out to. You can talk to them, because they share the same insights and stuff like that. I remember one time I told somebody, I'm working on the mindset and how to make things better for. Oh, and their comment was, "Are you brainwashing yourself?" I'm like, "Yeah, in a good way." That's kind of different. People have different views, and that's fine. And people are in different awareness than you may be, and that's okay. They are where they are. You can't force them to be somebody else, because that's not your job. Your job to figure out who you are, and by spreading love and appreciation and so many other things, naturally you get that vibe back, right? But community is important, like because that's your support system. I didn't have that when I was growing up. I wish I did. I wish I knew where to turn. I mean, I'm sorry, but for me at that time, pills were not the answer. I like antidepressants. I said no. I don't want to be on antidepressants, and I don't want to mute who I am. There's a reason I'm struggling. I want to get to the end of it. So I pushed aside those pills, and I'm like, I'm not going to be the next person taking pills at that time, because I wasn't like severe case or depressant or anything. It was just something like maybe it would have helped me, but I didn't want those. I said, I need to find what's happening, and I want to fix it, and I want to get rid of it. Obviously things will come up in life, but now we know how to handle them, because you've trained yourself to think differently. That's why I love when Dyer's quote, and I was actually lucky enough to meet him before his passing, God bless his soul. When you change the way you look at things change, and that is so true. But for many years I looked at that quote, I'm like, what does it really mean? And then it finally clicked. I'm like, oh my God, like that is so true. You got to look at things from different perspectives. So anyway, community is a huge thing for me, because it is needed. It is very, very helpful. I think you had another question in there, but I forgot what it was. I'm sorry.
That's okay. But as the saying goes, it takes a village.
Yep.
And so at times we need to call on our village to
Yep.
be there for us. And so, when life throws things at us, our village is who keeps us grounded, and helps us figure out the next steps. Talking about a village and how that helps us, how would you define empowerment in the context of what you do as a coach, and what strategies do you find works for your clients?
I love helping people to become the better versions of themselves. And sometimes, at the beginning, people kind of are hesitant. Oh, I don't want to change. Or, I'm comfortable. But when you start telling them, like showing them that life can be so much more, they naturally come to it, because it's you can't force anybody to change. It's only will happen when they want the change, right? If they feel like, hey, I need something more. So that's why I take people through different courses, but I always talk to them and feel them out. Where is it that they truly need that help? Because they may think it's one area, but after speaking to them for I call it the discovery call, sometimes 2 or 3, I was like, you really need help in this area of your life more than this one. So I take them through the process usually to see, because everybody's different, and that's why I love kind of coaching more one-on-one, because I really get more personal with the person and really look at, I'm not there to I can't fix the problem per se, but I can help them see the areas that they can improve on, things like that, right? Because it is you, the person, after all, that is going through the transformation. I can't do the transformation for them, but I can help them through, taking them step by step through the programs and things like that. That's why I have self-image and identity programs, wealthy mindset program, when I take them through each area of their life, almost like from, relationship to career to business and so on. So it's really important to know your clients and their needs.
Absolutely. We're going to take a really quick break. And when we come back, we'd like to know from you, what is the most significant lesson that you've learned from all your collective experiences from traveling the world?
All right.
Introducing Books with Bridgetti, a lineup of industry experts, award-winning authors, and talented indie authors. Books with Bridgetti.
Welcome back. You're watching Books with Bridgetti and my amazing guest, Ewa Krempa. Ewa, so what is the most significant lesson you feel that you've learned from your collective experiences in life and your travels?
In travels, I would probably say, I just love meeting people around the world, and you never know what amazing next journey you're gonna come upon. Like, if I just sit at home and do nothing, nothing will come. But when I travel, I get a chance to really explore this amazing planet. I mean, yeah, there's things, of course, going around the world. That doesn't mean you have to go where something is happening, but go places that inspire you, that you want to see. And for me, it's the connections. The connections I made around the world are amazing. Like, I don't know, I couldn't have it any other way. And otherwise, it's inspiring people to go after what you want. I always consider myself, how they say, black sheep of the family, because to some point I was depressed and suicidal and all that, and I've done things that my parents may not have always agreed with, so I was kind of looked upon as like that black sheep. But now I look at myself as the white sheep of the family, because I'm the only one problem in my family that goes on these amazing trips, does skydiving, does coaching, does had a change of career a few times because I just couldn't decide what I wanted to do. And then I just seemed like, well, can't you just settle down to one thing? I'm like, no, why life would be boring, for me at least. So I say, if you want to go do something, do it, because life's too short. You only have one life, as far as I know. And just go enjoy life. Go travel if that's what you want to do. If you want to be a doctor, go be a doctor, or whatever inspires you, go do it. Because and I read this somewhere, I don't remember where exactly, and I can't quite quote it exactly either, but there was a lady on on her deathbed. She was 80 years old, and they were asked, like, she's somebody asked her, if you could do, like, are you happy with what you did in life? She's like, no, I regret not taking the chances and doing things I wanted. Now I'm sitting here and I wish I did all these things. So don't wait until you too old. Just put it that way. You want to do something, go get it. Life's too short.
Absolutely. Now, I interviewed one of your co-authors in the Ripple Effect of Reflections book that's coming up. And she was talking about her journey of how she reached a point of burnout, and how it stopped her dead in her tracks, and she had to reevaluate and find out, how to find the balance in her life that worked for her. And she's helped not only for herself, but she can help other people. So how do you prioritize self-care and reflection? And what practices have you found that works that you would recommend to other people?
The thing is, if you are pouring out from an empty cup, you can't give to anybody, right? So you do have to take care of yourself first. You have to take care of your soul, your body, your mind. If that's in balance, then things work so much better in every way. I normally meditate, take time. Believe me, when I first went into personal development, Bob Proctor's coaching, like day after day after day, I sat there, I journaled. And because I wasn't used to any of this practices and anything, but day after day, I sat there, I journaled, I practiced, I wrote down what I wanted to do, what I envisioned my life to be going forward, and what more I wanted out of life, right? So that's where you really have to sit down and look at yourself, like what is it that you truly want in life, not what you think you want, what you truly want deep inside, right? And many times people will go into, well, but this, but that, like all these excuses. Don't look at that. Look really what, because when you know, and when you're in alignment what you truly want, things will start coming to you naturally instead of you forcing them to happen, right? So I figure meditation, you really have to make that decision that you want to, reach your goals, go after them. What else? Balance is really important, because when you feel like, your business is going really well, maybe some other part of your life will be struggling. So I believe there should be balance in, if not all, most of the areas of your life, because I know, perfection is um, you can't always have everything, but you can definitely strive towards it, right? So balance your areas of your life as much as you can. And I always reflect every few months, maybe every 6 months. Okay, this is where I was 6 months ago. Looking at all these again, how have I improved? So you kind of do inventory of your life, and that's what I had to do. Inventory of where I was, how far I've come across, and of course, where do I want to go? So it's really learning about yourself. Some people say, well, I know who I am. I said, but do you really? Like, maybe take, some time and really go over your values, where you're going, and look a little bit deeper every time. That's what I say. Look a little bit deeper.
Absolutely. And it all comes back to blocking off time to reevaluate where you are so that you can move forward and you don't become stuck, in one place. Now, in your coaching business, do you have any example of someone's story that inspired you, um, and what did you learn from that story? Do you have anything you could share with us? Obviously, we don't want you to share anything that's confidential, but was there something that ever sort of struck you as different?
Yes, I can't go into details, but what I've realized is a lot of people hold on to so much stuff, like I have sometimes, and then they realize they're like, all of a sudden I see that light goes on, and there's like, then when they let it go, and then it's like, oh, it was that easy. Sometimes you carry something for so long, and you got accustomed carrying it, and then you realize, like, why do I carry it for so long? It doesn't serve me anymore. And when I see that lightness in them, it really is amazing, experience. And they are so much more at ease at that time. I know one person in particular, she was going through such a hard time in her childhood, and now she's, I think, about 60. For all these years, she carried so much stuff. And finally, when she finally let it go, it was like, it was like a huge relief for her. So I can't share the details, as it's confidential, but it just shows to see we hold on to so many things and it doesn't serve us. Just bless it and release it, there's some things, of course, people don't want to, or it's very hard, but one step at a time, make it easier on yourself. Some things are just bless it and release it.
I totally agree with that. If it doesn't work for you, let it go. Because it's only going to drag you down. It's not gonna serve you.
Yeah.
Um,
And you
what
can't
would you
change
say?
you can't
Yep.
change what happened, right? uh,
No.
you can only learn from it, and that's my biggest lesson too. From all these things, yes, I may have done mistakes in my past, and there were mistakes based on my mindset at that time, or a lack of, or whatever the circumstances, but now they've become lessons for me. And I will never forget them, but I've learned to forgive myself. If it had needed forgiveness, I've learned to learn from them if it needed that, and to just move on, because you can't turn back time. They're lessons now, and that's all I look at them now. Don't drag it with you if it's not necessary.
Absolutely. How do you handle setbacks and challenges in life? And do you have any strategies that you teach your clients to help them overcome obstacles?
Originally, I didn't handle them at all when I was much younger. There was just like, I just didn't know how to handle any of it was hard. Like, I didn't know where to. Now I approach it with a completely different mindset, where I look at the situation, for example, and I'm like, okay, now this is what's happened. It's done. Going forward, like, you analyze the situation, and then I normally go within, and it's like, okay, what would serve me the most? And there was a time, I'll share this. There was a time, because I was divorced. I was married before, then I was divorced. And it's not something I'm proud of, nor in our culture you get divorced, but I was like, I really need an answer, God. Like, I want to know whether I should divorce or not. Like, this game went on in my. So you know what? I just meditated. And the answer might not come right away, but it finally did. But I really went after it, and it's like, okay, what should I do? What is my true desire here? Like, you really need to analyze things, and then the answers will come, but you have to give it time. You can't force it. So take it one step at a time, because not everybody's the same, right? What works for you might not work for the next person. But basically, sitting down and really knowing yourself and knowing where you're going really does help. Like, my clients, I usually ask them questions. That's how we get it. And then I ask one question, then I ask based on the situation, and then I ask them again. Sometimes I have worksheets for them, and most of my programs have answers, questions, because that's how you really look deeper in. Because just reading something, oh, okay, well, that sounded nice, not really going to help you. It's really looking and asking the right questions that will get you the answers. Sometimes it takes time, sometimes they happen like this. It really depends in what awareness the person's at.
Absolutely. And just following on what you said now, what would you say is the biggest misconception that people have about personal growth and transformation?
The first thing that comes to mind, people don't want to change as much as they, it's like, well, I don't want you to change me, or this, like, that's what I first thought. But when you start talking to them and you tell them, it's like, look, it could be so much better. Like, nobody's trying to change you, but just look at all the possibilities. When you approach it from a different angle, then they start seeing. But I know a lot of people have resistance to it, because they think that all of them has to change all of a sudden. But that's not it. That's not it at all. It kind of makes you more calm inside, more for some people, they truly find their purpose. I know a lot of people who hate their jobs. Like, they're like, they go because of the paycheck or whatever. And And then you try to tell them, it's like, oh, you should maybe try personal development. Oh, no. I was like, well, no, that's and then you sit there, you just look at it. I'm like, okay, yeah, we'll come to you when it come to. But no, it's nothing about telling them it's like, no, yeah, now you can't watch TV or this and that. It has nothing to do with that. Some people think it's like a whole bunch of crazy things that it's not even that. It's just about being more at peace inside, really going about the purpose in your life, feeling more happier, feeling more balanced. That's what personal transformation. And of course, in the bonuses, if you discover something amazing or become a millionaire through the process, hey, why not, right? But that's all it is. It's just beautiful soul transformation, I call it.
So, Ewa, you are now into your 4th collaboration book. So you had am I right? The 4th one.
Yeah, Midlife Awakening, the Never Give Up. And soon we're going to announce the launch date for the Ripple Effect of Impact. But now I'm actually curating a book dear to my heart also, because they're all dear. But this one is, of course, Touch of Traveling. So it's called Dynamic Soulful Nomad. So this
are you looking for any authors still, or are you full?
We are actually still looking for authors, if anybody's interested, to share either their travel stories and inspire people, or if you're a nomad and you're traveling, you want to share how you've done it. We are looking for those individuals to share their beautiful stories to the world, because you never know who you're going to inspire. And the next person will be like, hey, that's exactly what I was looking for. That's how you do it. Or, they're going to read something and connect with you, and then things like that. So yeah, I'm really excited because it's really dear to my heart, because traveling has been such a big part of my life. And then, inspiring people to go after, like for me, traveling. But I used to fly planes too. I used to be a photographer. So traveling is just one of the bigger pieces, but I've done a lot of other things in my life too. You never know what my next book is going to be. But this is the next one that falls into the category of going forward and doing another amazing thing.
Wow, wonderful. Congratulations, Ewa. So if you're watching the show live, or you're going to catch this on the replay, and traveling is your thing, you've enjoyed traveling and you have a story to tell, and you've not authored a book, this is your foot in the door. Reach out to Ewa. Make a comment down below after the show. Let us know and we'll connect you with Ewa. And here's your opportunity to get into a collaboration book. Ewa, it was amazing talking to you. Thank you so much for your time, sharing your experiences and journeys. And I'm sure that your collaboration book is going to be filled up with authors in no time. So thank you so much for joining me, and thank you to our amazing audience who has joined us today. Very grateful for you as well. And we look forward to welcoming you on the next episode of Books with Bridgetti. Bye for now.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been absolutely
Thank you for joining us on Books with Bridgetti. Join us next time for industry experts and award-winning authors.
I think this might be, I've been on over 24 different podcasts and radio shows in the last couple of months. And this has to be one of the most sophisticated, what the kids I used to teach called bomb.com shows and presentations that I've ever been on. It's fantastic. Thank you for having me here.
Available wherever great books are sold near you.